बोलिए सतगुरु महाराज की जय, सच्चे दरबार की जय. Thank you everyone for connecting with us today for this discourse. Let me ask you this. Is it a choice that you have made to attend this discourse today? A decision that you have made in an infinite pool of possibilities that puts you on a path that's dictated by your conscious power of reason and free will? Or was it fate? Is it predetermined? Were you meant to be here listening to this video right now? The debate between fate and free will is like the debate of what came first, the chicken or the egg. In the story of the thirsty crow, a crow in the middle of a desert is looking to quench his thirst, finds a pitcher of water, and as he puts his beak into this, he realizes that the water level is too low and his beak cannot reach it. So he picks up pebbles, tosses them into the pitcher, which causes the water level to rise, and he's able to quench his thirst. So was it the action, the free will of the crow, that he chose to take these pebbles and throw them in the pitcher in order to quench his thirst? Or was it fate that a pitcher of water with some pebbles beside it just happened to be there in the middle of the desert? Pretty debatable, right? Let's explore both of them. Fate shows up in so many ways. For example, a teacher teaches their students, the whole class, equally. But some students score better marks, better grades than the others. Isn't it fate? Or it rains on all the fields equally, but the crop and harvest is not necessarily the same. Or so many people buy lottery tickets, but not everyone wins the lottery. In Greek mythology, there's a story of Oedipus. When he was born, there was a prophecy that he would kill his father and marry his mother. So to avoid this prophecy from coming true, his parents abandoned him. Another young couple found this baby abandoned and took him home. They raised him and nourished him. When he got older, he learned of this prophecy that he would kill his father and marry his mother. So one night, to avoid this prophecy from coming true, he decides to leave home. That if he's not close by, then there is no opportunity of the prophecy coming true, not knowing that he was adopted. Along his journey, he ends up in an altercation with a man, and in a fit of rage, kills him, not knowing that that was his birth father, and marries the man's widow, who happened to be his birth mother. Stories like this prove to us that fate is inevitable, that whatever is meant to happen will happen. No one can change it. But what if you're stuck in a job that you dislike? Your team members are way too competitive. You don't like the energy or the atmosphere it's created. But you believe in fate, and you are waiting for the universe to take you to the next step. You know it will happen. You just have to be patient. You will probably be waiting forever. Because if you want to change your job, then you have to actually apply to different positions. It won't just happen. Bringing us to free will. We have lots of choices, lots of options in our lives. You decide what time you want to wake up in the morning. You decide what clothes you want to wear. You decide what you want to have for breakfast. A person who is a story writer has full control over which direction the story is going to be headed in. If you want to paint a picture, you have the choice of what you want to paint and what colors you want to use. So, what is our life determined by? Fate or free will? Destiny or our actions? Let's see how saints put an end to this debate. Aurobindo says that we are our fate through our action. By relying on self-effort in the present, we determine our fate. Let me explain with an example. An old man lived in a little village and one night has a dream that a terrible storm has hit the village and it's wiped out the whole village. But he will be protected by God. The next morning, as expected, a terrible storm hit the village. On the first day of the storm, the old man's brother warns him to leave the village immediately. But the old man refuses, saying that God will protect me. On the second day of the storm, the neighbor was fleeing with his family. And they offered to take the old man with them. But the old man denies, saying God will protect me. On the third day of the storm, the water level had risen so much, so the old man climbed onto the roof of his house. A group of villagers came with a boat and offered to take the old man with them. But again, he refused, saying, God will protect me. No doubt, the old man ended up drowning. When he came face to face with God, he asked, "Why didn't you protect me like you promised?" God said, "I warned you through a dream. I sent you your brother, the neighbor, the boat, but you denied all of them." Fate brought him to the situation he was in, but action needed to be taken to determine where he was headed. So scriptures have always said that both fate and free will exist in our lives. Fate brings us opportunities, but action needs to be taken upon them in order to determine where we are headed next. What we are today is a product of our past. Everything that we have thought, said, done, whether it be good or bad, right or wrong, positive or negative, has brought us to where we are today. But that does not mean that we are doomed by our fate. Because what we need to recognize, brothers and sisters, is that we have a future. A future that we can change, that we can mold into what we want to be. Free will is the opportunity to make decisions and choices in the present. And fate is determined by the free will of our past. The actions we did in the past determined our fate in the present. And what we do in the present will determine where we're headed in the future. In the Bhagavad Gita, after Lord Krishna has been done explaining to Arjun, he tells Arjun, reflect on what I have said to you, and then choose to do whatever you want. That the choice of what we do in the present is our free will. So, brothers and sisters, the hand we are dealt is determined by our fate. But how we choose to play this hand is free will. So if you can act out of wisdom, if you're conscious of what you are thinking, saying, and doing, then you can better your future. You can choose what direction you want to take your life in. The choice is yours. If we solely believe that only fate exists, then we would be passive in our lives. Then we would rely on the path of least resistance. And if we believe that only free will exists, then we would think that everything we do will bring us result. But I'm sure there's been chances where you've done a lot of effort, but it doesn't bring the result you expected. Or how many of you have planned your life and it's worked out exactly as you planned? So fate and free will both determine our lives. So be vigilant, be conscious of what you are doing today if you want to change where you're headed tomorrow. On that note, we'll conclude today's discourse. Boliye Satguru Maharaj ki Jai. Sache Darbar ki Jai.